What's up, all? Welcome to Forgemaster Metal Reviews. This is the place where you get the most out of your metal releases.
It's that time of year where we round up all of our favorite albums by subgenre, and this time we're hitting the gruesome killing fields for some death metal of all flavors.
If you like metal content like this, hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us to continue to bring you more great metal coverage.
Sharpen your cleavers and get in your spacesuits. It's time to hit the blood-drenched cosmos, because we're going to hit on our best metal albums of 2021. Iotunn, Access All Worlds, released February 26th on Metal Blade Records. I'm not sure if the subgenre of cosmic, progressive, melodic death metal exists in metal, but it fucking does now. I had not heard Iotunn before their 2021 release, but I have been obsessed with this record all fucking year. Holy shit, is this album all sorts of epic. This record is absolutely majestic in its compositions and structure, and I don't really have any other way to describe it other than the big mashup of genres that I described earlier. This album is an endless journey of the cosmos, embracing the sci-fi narratives to the fullest extent, soaring through the stars on a spaceship ready to venture through the end of time. The clean vocals are a very welcome touch alongside emotive, harsh vocals. They are wonderfully unique and add a massive dynamic to what would otherwise kind of sound like a run-of-the-mill progressive melodic death metal record. The guitar riffs, the solos, the effects, the drummings are all fucking on point on this album. Highly impressive against the sci-fi narrative. The production on this record is the only ding I would give it, because it's just a little too compressed. The dynamics are a little squashed on it, but it's not enough to deter you. This is a must-listen death metal album. I'm gonna give this 4.8 out of 5 Ominous Planets.
I gotta say, I had a hard time picking these records because there was just a slew of great death metal from 2021. So my first pick here is Fractal Generator's Macrocosmos. It was released back in January on Everlasting Spew. This album is exactly what I think tech death has needed over the last decade or so. It is reminiscent of mid-era Decapitated, where technical chops are also included alongside riff worship and utterly devastating heaviness. At 9 tracks and a total runtime of around 42 minutes, this record is perfectly paced and leaves you feeling absolutely torn apart when it's finished. But like a great amusement park ride, you want to hop on again and again and again and just continue the suffering. I think Archspire outdid Fractal Generator in terms of sheer technicality, but Macrocosmos went for more of a classic tech death sound, so they aren't exactly in the same bucket here. This for me is a perfect score. 5 out of 5 emerging black holes.
Speaking of Archspire, Archspire's on my list. Archspire, Bleed the Future, released October 29th on Season of Mist. Remember when Necrophagus hit the tech death scene and everyone said, this right here is the fucking shit? Yeah, well, it's been years since we've had a proper tech death album, and this is the genre-defining new fucking shit right here. Yes, it is that fucking good. Here it is with Bleed the Future, easily one of the most amazing extreme metal albums in 2021, with Dave Otero's blisteringly clear and massive sounding mix master to complement the crazy musicianship on this record. This album is equal parts technical prowess and wizardry as it is outwardly catchy. Yes, somehow the Archboys figured out how to balance the monumental creativity inside the blistering and riffing and crazy songwriting with memorable melodies and things that get stuck in your head. That is something that defies songwriting physics to me, and I really don't understand how they pulled it off. This album is a complete and utter blast to listen to. I find myself gasping for breath listening to some of these vocal runs, let alone the guitar runs. Hugely inspirational, makes me want to quit guitar as well as pick up my fucking guitar and stop being a lazy slouch. 4.7 out of 5, Bleeding Futures.
Yeah, dude, this is, like you said, totally genre-defining, an absolute sleeper hit. I don't think anyone else was really talking about this album as much as it really needs to. Tech death metal bands of the future are going to fucking say that this album influenced them. Mark our words, this is one of the most genre-defining albums of all time. Blood Red Throne's Imperial Congregation is my next pick. I definitely miss out on a few other albums because I just couldn't stop spinning this one. Devastating riffs, overwhelming brutality, and vertebrae-tearing grooves. There are hidden key changes that keep this a little bit more on the melodic side versus the gross dissonance that death metal tends to typically lean into, and I really respect that. There are a couple underwhelming solos, half-baked, sloppy-ish technical spots that keep this from being an utterly perfect record, but this is the death metal album that I've wanted from Blood Red Throne for a long time. 4.8 out of 5 Splintered Corpses. Like I said, this is one of their best, maybe top 3. If you enjoyed this record, be sure to check out their first couple records as well.
Yeah, you fucking nailed it with this one. There's a lot of unexpected sections on this album, too. And it's riff city with them. It really is. The whole album front to back is great.
Yeah.
My next pick is Humanity's Last Breath. Valde released on February 12th. Humanity's Last Breath have released one of the most mind-blowing and crushing and atmospheric albums of this year. I actually discovered this band on my Checks Out Deathcore series. You should check out that series if you want to hear some cool insights on deathcore, because I'm new to the genre and I was wondering where it is now versus where it was. This album has created one of the most crushingly thought-provoking and dreary soundscapes for a death metal record that I have ever fucking heard, period. This is more than a deathcore album, though, with nothing but breakdowns. Sure, the payoff is in there and you do hear breakdowns, but there's far more here to appreciate. This album is bleak, atmospheric, nihilistic in its purest form. Composer and producer Buster Oldholm of Stockholm, Sweden, and Impact Studios with this band has created one of the most impressive and dark sonicascapes embracing anticipation, orchestration, and other genres such as black metal on Valde. My own personal opinion, I wish the band used a different artist for the visual art, as I feel like Marius is kind of being overused nowadays, but that's not something I can really ding the band for, and no slight to the artist whatsoever. Obviously good for fucking him. The business is great. He's otherworldly and amazing. I simply think that metal bands are using his style a little bit too much, but I can't ding the album for this. This is essential listening of atmospheric death metal fans and people who just love overwhelming brutality that just beats the living shit out of your ears. 4.8 out of 5 Cosmic Walls.
New Jersey-based Replicant have released their sophomore full-length Malignant Reality on Transcending Obscurity Records, and they have landed right here on our best death metal of the year list. This trio of ridiculously talented musicians has created a chaotic tech death record very similar to Gorguts' Obscura. The musical journey takes you on twists and turns while maintaining an ever-present atmosphere of exploring a dank, morbid crypt with the corpses of witches and shamans ready to leap out at you from their coffin things. What I love about this record is that the groove is non-stop. Even with the chaotic changes and sharp, unexpected musical turns, the band is constantly locked into a metronome that you often forget is there until you find yourself just headbanging or fist pumping like a maniac. This is a jaw-dropping death metal record. I also really love the harrowing vocal style that just sounds so painful and creepy. It's super unique. Easily an album of the year for me, and as we can see, it has gotten there to this list. Best death metal, 4.8 out of 5 trenchcoat-wearing android hunters.
Stortregn, Impermanence, released March 12th on the Artisan Era. My first time around the block with this album left my mind completely fucking blown open with the sheer technical and songwriting brilliance showcased in this record from the Swiss-based progressive death metal titan Stortregn. The amount of genre-bending sorcery in this record is staggering, and it makes this album very hard to quantify under one holistic genre, but I feel like it fits on this death metal list right at home. Out of all the tracks on Impermanence, the listener goes on an intense journey from, like I said, black metal, death metal, heavy metal, classic, tech death. But what I love most is their ability to balance the showmanship of the band with fantastic songwriting and unbelievable melodies. Stortregn have this godlike ability to switch metal genres on a whim and make those transitions just feel fucking smooth as butter. I don't know how the hell they do it. This album is a journey from the relentless technical extreme metal to melodic and relaxing and even acoustic sections, which is welcome in this genre. I found myself constantly revisiting this album throughout the entire fucking year while discovering just new things to get locked into. I absolutely loved this album. It's a fucking masterpiece. So great that it made it to my album of the year list. Do not sleep on this record if you love your death metal on the progressive side. 4.9 out of 5 Swirling Voids.
Yeah, man, this was an album that I immediately listened to, and it just got a perfect score right off the bat. It is majestic. It is just so good. All right, and a bit surprised we barely talked about this one. I think we mentioned this one in anticipated albums, and that was it. You know, we've been busy around here. We listened to a little bit of music. Bellacore's Coherence was a totally standout melodic death metal record from 2021. This Napalm Records release came out pretty quietly, but those of us with the fingers on the pulse of the melodic death metal scene, as we are here at Forgemaster, we knew it was coming, and damn, it was good. This is a super symphonic melodic death metal record that really balances the brutality that I love about melodic death with the classical arrangements. This is a band that wants to tell a story and have you headbanging while they do it. The music is equally cinematic as it is vicious. The sonic quality on here is fucking perfect. It sounds modern while still retaining that classic 90s aura. The musicianship on this is just otherworldly. Amazing drumming, guitar playing, compositions, just so good, man. I'm giving this 4.6 out of 5 incoherent street preachers. This is really about as good as it gets for symphonic melodic death metal.
And my last pick on here is a fucking deep cut. Crypts of Despair, All Light Swallowed, released April 23rd on Transcending Obscurity Records. I've said it so many goddamn times on this channel, and you guys really need to start paying attention. Transcending Obscurity Records can do no wrong when it comes to their metal roster. Their roster is just absolutely fucking crazy. Just look at the lineup.
Yeah, we've mentioned a few bands from them already.
They find the filthiest and heaviest bands ranging from doom to death metal, and Crypts of Despair are one of the most exciting bands on their roster to release something this year. Hailing from Lithuania, death metal band Crypts of Despair have released one of the most ungodly and filthy records devoid of all fucking hope. All Light Swallowed is an old school death metal record. Make no mistake, but the production on this album is a little bit more on the modern side, favoring dirtier production of atmosphere in the subgenre. The album is perfectly dark, wonderfully bleak, and the album artwork by Nestor Avalos perfectly captures the atmosphere within this album. It's kind of match made in hell. All Light Swallowed is full of breakneck riffs, sadistic and catchy melodies, gloomy vibes rooted in their slower, doomier sections. The vocals on this album are fucking harrowing and completely obliterate the listener with their dual vocal approach of guttural lows and anguish-filled highs. For some reason, I've been really enjoying death metal this year. I feel like death metal kind of won in a lot of ways in terms of the great releases of 2021. Transcending Obscurity seemed to just be filling my playlist with great death and doom metal albums this year, but this one really fucking takes the cake. Bone chilling and crushing. You have to get on this if you love the old school death. 4.8 out of 5 Mounds of Death.
This year marked the 7th album from At the Gates. Since the band's return on the other side of the massively influential Slaughter of the Soul, I have really admired their trajectory and desire to let their music speak for itself. At the Gates have proven that they can create material that is noteworthy in a sea of imitators and spawns. Think about that for a second. At the Gates single-handedly spawned an entire subgenre, and yet they're still here and they're still making awesome music. So, I mean, why would you want to listen to them versus the, 400 other bands? Because only At the Gates sounds like At the Gates, and they have continued to prove that with their most recent record and one of my favorites of this year, The Nightmare of Being. This album features some of the most unique atmospheres that this band has ever created. On the song Cosmic Pessimism, holy shit, dude, that's one of the best songs of the year. Maybe one of those best songs that At the Gates has ever written. I'm giving The Nightmare of Being 4.7 out of 5 existential crises.
What are your favorite death metal albums of 2021? Leave those in the comments, and while you're at it, murder the like button and subscribe if you're new.
As always, go with the gods, our Forgemaster brethren. Keep your tools and your mind sharp. Stay dead out there.
See you next time.